Welcome to the Hot Box, a soapbox for hot topics.
We are here tuning in live with Jamaal Jackson Rogers, aka Just Jamaal the Poet. You are watching the Hot Box podcast. It is a podcast, a soapbox for hot topics. It's a podcast that highlights youth endeavors in the city. It's put on by a couple organizations, but we don't need to talk about all that. We like to get down to the nitty-gritty of what we're trying to expose, what we're trying to bring to light in this city of Ottawa, this capital nation here. We are in Ottawa, Canada, and I have an amazing guest. It's my honor and privilege to have him as the first guest of my part of the segment of the podcast. And I'd like you to get to know on a personal level, the rapper, entrepreneur, creative, musician, known as Malcolm. Give it up for Malcolm, everybody. Give it up for Malcolm.
Thank you, man.
All right, Malcolm's here on the podcast. What's up, my homie?
I'm good, man.
Good. So Malcolm, formerly known as Dope Kid,
yes, sir.
613.
Yes, sir.
And from what I've been following, and I understand that you changed your name. You decided to change your artist name from Dope Kid 613 to Malcolm straight. Tell us a little bit why that is.
Well, one, I don't want to be 30 years old and still be called Dope Kid. So that's one reason. The second reason is I felt my content and my music was starting to mature a little bit more, or like a lot more. So I felt it was time for something to reflect that. You know what I mean? So I chose just my middle name, Malcolm, but I chose to switch it around with the spelling, with the Roman numerals, MXLCLM, just to make it visually attractive. So there's no significance to the Roman numerals, but the significance lies in just using my middle name, Malcolm, just coming as I am, and the music is more mature. The music is more thought out, and the process is finally established.
Well, I felt like after seeing you go through as far as back as I remember you, which was about 3 years ago, when you decided to sign up for that Rhapsody event I was doing, right? You came out, and the Rhapsody was an event that was held in the city. I was hosting it. It's a cipher. You win $200. You came out, and I knew you was Dope Kid 613. I remember some of my kids were there. They were like, "Who's that young artist?" Because they can relate to seeing someone else young perform. You know what I mean? And then I was like, okay, this person has a message, because they're clearly using the 613 area code as a symbol to represent this city, right? And so it seemed like your platform for a large time was, or for at least the past 4 or 5 years, was representing
the majority
this city,
of my career,
the majority of your career, right? And then all of a sudden changing from that. Why did you decide to abandon? It was sudden, right?
To be honest, Ottawa is a great place that hoards so much talent. Like, you know what I mean? It breeds so much talent even now, like especially within the recent years. Like, we've had a lot of artists just really leave this bubble and really progress somewhere else. For example, Corey Sherrill, who's on Wild 'N Out. We have Dax, who I actually went to school with, who's one of my good friends. Like, you know what I mean? So following their blueprint, I noticed that they weren't holding the city on their back, as you mentioned. They always showed love to their home and always shouted out their home in their music and their interviews and whatnot, but it was never really their main focus. And like I said earlier, Jamaal, I think I was setting a ceiling for myself, putting the 613 over everything on my back. Not disregarding that. I love my city and I love my home. Like, to be honest, like, I've barely traveled, which is something I do need to do. Like, you know what I mean? But like I said, I just think I felt like I was setting a ceiling for myself. And there were certain situations I was going through within the city too, as well, that I felt like some relationships that I had before weren't as solid anymore. It just spoke bigger volumes to me as how the city interacts with each other, especially how musicians interact with each other. We're all here trying to do the same thing. So I figured, you know what, it's time to be a little bit selfish and just create a change. Like, you know what I mean? So
that last point you mentioned about being selfish, a good poet friend of mine named Hodan Ibrahim, no longer in this city, decided not to carry the city on her back anymore. She was a phenomenal poet, was just cleaning up, everybody taking all the money at the slams. I remember once she did a talk before a poem that she spit, and she said, you know what? The idea of being selfish is such, oftentimes look at the negative thing, character trait, but as an artist, as a creative entrepreneur,
that's what you need to do.
You have to be selfish with your product and your brand and your art, because if you allow too much to influence what it is you're trying to do, then you end up creating for others and not creating for yourself.
Exactly. And that's I think that's where you lose. I think that's exactly where I lost too, where I lost my sight of what I wanted to do. Like, you know what I mean? Because like what I thought I wanted and what I know I still want is I want to be able to, I don't necessarily want to be famous, want to be A-list. I want to be able to make a living off of my music and support a family when I have one off of my music. I don't want to work in a department or work in an office, like, you know what I mean? So, but at the same time, like, I do understand that, like, there is avenues to do that in Canada, whether it be in Toronto. There is some avenues to do that in Ottawa, not nearly as much. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you can support yourself off of some local endeavors, but a lot of times you end up losing more money than you make.
Very true.
So I had this example proven when I did my album release last year on March 1st. So.
Which album was that? Just to let the people know.
Everything is different now.
Yeah, I took that in. It was strong. It was strong.
That was an album I worked really hard on.
Really
hard,
man.
That was an album I worked really hard on. In regards to like songwriting and also the appeal of how the music sounds sonically. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I want people to be able to take in the lyrics when they want to take them in, but when it's just a vibe, they can just
work with that
vibe,
just
bump with it. Like, you know what I mean? So I really took that into consideration with every song, and like I think I'm still gonna keep that strategy.
Okay.
Going. Like, you know what I mean? Because I think that's the best thing that's been working for me is just like mixing the medicine with the food.
Right.
Is just like, give some people like a banging hook and then just like, destroy the verse. Like, almost cursed there, but almost cursed.
Okay, I mean, so you're very vocal about how you feel about the city on social media, right?
Yeah.
And I'm a fly on the wall when I see
sometimes a bit too much.
Yeah, I mean, I think sometimes, sometimes it's good that you can acknowledge that, but I also feel like we need vocal people too, right?
Well, I wear my heart on my sleeve a lot of times.
Right.
So that's my problem.
Okay, so it can be an issue sometimes, right?
Yeah, it's a hurt for sure.
And how do you feel about then this idea of like old school versus new school then? Because I do feel like being that you would probably consider yourself new school, right?
Yeah, but I'm an old soul though.
Yeah, I do recognize that from the moment I first saw you and how passionate you are at Rhapsody. When you didn't feel like, when you weren't recognized for going into the second round, I was like, this dude is passionate, right? Some people just take it as a joke. I knew from that day, this music is not a joke.
It's not a game,
right?
It's not
a game, right? It's not a hobby, right?
Yeah.
So, but I do recognize that people who are from the old school will view you as a new school, even still, right?
Especially with that name, Dope Kid, right?
Right.
That I did have. That was a problem that I ran into a few times because, like, I always knew when it came to the music, my music was there. Like, it was there,
you know how to make music.
Yeah, and I'm only gonna get better. Like, you know what I mean? Right. I think what hindered me, which is like the saying where they say don't judge a book by its cover. At the end of the day, everybody does. Like, within the first 3 seconds, you're judged. You never get a second impression, right? First impression, sorry. So I think the name Dope Kid 613 just like alluded to like a little bit more of like an immature sound or an immature artist, even though I didn't feel like I was that artist. Like, you know what I mean?
Right.
But think of it this way, like I tell a lot of my friends this as well. I'm like, yeah, they're my homies and shit like that. And they support my music, like for real. But what if they didn't know me? You know what I mean? What if they didn't know me and they seen the name Dope Kid on the internet? Right. How would you box me? Because I feel like I don't fit in a box. I feel like I can do this, that, and the third. I can make this song and this song. You know what I mean? But if you've seen that name on the internet without listening to a lyric, listening to a song, how would you box me?
Right.
I pretty much got the same answer the whole time. Like, you know what I mean? Oh, who's this dope kid guy? Oh, it's probably one of these mumble rappers.
Like, you know what I mean?
Which I'm not. Like,
right,
you know what I mean? Which I've never been. Like,
no,
you know
you're
I mean?
a lyricist.
Exactly. I'm a lyricist. I'm starting to learn. I'm starting to teach myself more and more about melody, like every day. Every song I get better. Every song I try to incorporate that, like, you know what I mean? Because I realize, like, there's a time and place for everything. Like, you know what I mean? Like, even sometimes I don't want to listen to, like, bars, like, for a whole song. Like, you know what I mean? I just want to vibe out. So I understand that there's a time and place for everything. So like I said, that's where I try to, like, mix the medicine with the food.
Right. Medicine with the food. So tell us then, just take us back a little bit, because, you know, 2015 is probably the first time I saw you, but I want to know how you got involved in music in the first place and how this became a lifelong journey for you.
Well, I wasn't always a songwriter or a rapper. I was actually a dancer. And in my early years. I did breakdancing, crumping, lyrical hip hop.
That's wild. How many people know that you were crumping and stuff like
people
that?
People who know me from like day one and stuff like that. Yeah. And I took that shit just as seriously as I took music. Like, I don't battle rap, but I used to battle, like, do dance battles and stuff like that.
Yeah, that was your battle.
And
scene.
I used to tear ish up.
Wow.
Like, you know what I mean?
Okay.
So, and everything I did, I taught myself. Same thing with the music. Music is like, music a lot of times, especially with song composing and songwriting, a lot of people are self-taught.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
If
they end up learning about music theory, they end up saying, like, in my position, they're like, oh crap, I've been doing this that whole time.
That's
like,
right.
You know what I mean?
That's right.
So, but with dancing, I had taught myself that, like, from the gate. Like, I remember watching, you know, Missy Elliott's Lose Control video?
Of course, yeah.
So I remember seeing the dancing in that video, and I was just, like, amazed. I was, like, 13 years old, and I'm 25 now, so a little bit over 10 years ago. And I was just like, wow, like, I want to do that. Like, you know what I mean? So I remember the first time I danced, I was in my basement, and I was embarrassed because I was like, I can't dance, man. What the hell? Like, but I looked around and I seen nobody's watching me. Like, you know what I mean? So, like, for the next, like, from 13 to 16, I just, like, went hard and, like,
you immerse yourself.
Yeah,
in
man.
dancing.
And I was really good. Like, you know what I mean? And then you're creative yourself. You're a poet. You know what I mean? So the feeling that you get that is probably similar to mine, where you feel like being creative. So you go and write a poem, right?
Right, yeah.
You feel inspired, so you go and write a poem, right? When I be practicing my dancing, so this is like when I was like 16, so I was like really immersed into it. And this ties into like how I started rapping and writing music. So I remember like getting that feeling, like, you know, okay, I'm gonna do a session, practice, whatnot, you know what I mean? It was really weird, and I don't know if you can relate to this feeling, and it's like, I've never felt that feeling even since before, like since I was that age. I'd do my practice session dancing, and I'd feel like the only word I can think of is I'd feel unfulfilled. I'd feel like I still needed to do something, like, you know what I mean? I still needed to, I don't know, I felt like I still needed to do something, get something out, you know?
Right.
And then like, I remember like I wrote like a song to like some 50 Cent song or something like that, you know what I mean? And I was like, this is it. This is what I'm looking for.
Wow.
Like, you know what I mean? This is it. And then after that, it was a wrap. Like, it was a wrap. Like, I'd be sitting like in my room with the door closed, against the door, sitting down. I wasn't even writing songs like at that point. Like, I was just writing bars, like, you know what I mean? And then the songwriting came later and stuff like that. But yeah, that's how I got into writing and music. I've always been ingrained in music, but that's like really when I dived in it.
Okay. And what was your content like? I mean, your first verse, do you remember what your first official... Because I got to ask one thing that might be a little bit embarrassing, that might make you feel vulnerable. What was your first verse about or like? Do you remember? Man. Can you take us back to the first whack verse ever?
Man, you really want to hear this?
I want to hear it, man. Let people know, because, I mean, if you end up being great, at least people know you weren't afraid to show those parts, you know what I mean?
So just to give a little context, Malcolm is my middle name. So like I said, I decided to go by my middle name. My first name is Dion.
Word.
So it went some like, my name is Dion, I don't mean no harm. If you get me mad, I'ma break your arm. But if you heard me straight, you best be know that I'm the goddamn best. You should know how I flow. Or something.
Okay.
Something like that.
It was
like
a natural.
It was some like weird like party rap, Run DMC type.
Right.
Ish.
But
like,
you used some forced rhymes in there.
Yeah,
Dion arm. I was
exactly.
like, okay.
it was so weird. It was so weird ish. But I was young though. But that's literally how it started. And I remember that was like probably like, if not like, that was the first, if not like one of the first.
First verses, word. And your first performance, where did you decide to take it on? Your writing on stage. Was it like a little older, a little later?
I think if we're talking about performance wise, like my first like it's really weird. Like I've never I didn't know, for the longest time I didn't know stage fright was a thing for people.
Right.
I've never had that problem. Like, you know what I mean? I've never had a problem like being in front of people and like doing what I do.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I think like my first performance was probably like, I got a talent show at school.
Okay,
I remember I did a Black History Month showcase and stuff like that at school. At not my school, but at St. Madison, like, I helped choreograph a whole dance team and stuff like that.
Okay.
But when it comes to rapping and like performing my music, that was actually with Aficionado, Jared Lopez's.
Jared Lopez.
Jared Lopez.
Out in Vancouver now. Shout out to Jared.
Shout out to Jared Lopez. So he actually put me on my first show on his Aficionado showcase. I was on a few of his showcases that he had for dancers. Like when I was like I think 2014, 2013 was when like I made the official I stopped dancing.
Okay.
So around 2013 is when he put me on one of his showcases to dance, and then 2014 he put me on my first show to perform my music. And that was it. Cool. And it was a wrap from there.
Okay, bless. I think you performed. Do you remember? Goliath Pa.
Of course.
And he was doing his show there. That show at.
Shout out Goliath Pa.
Yeah, shout out Goliath Pa.
He's gonna be in the next video too.
Oh, word!
Yeah.
Hey. I think I saw you at like some not underground, like a basement venue on like, is it Slater or Bank or something like that? He did the show.
City Nightclub.
Yeah, that's right. City Nightclub, right?
Yeah.
I think I saw you there. Bumping into you, I always seen you. I would sit back and watch, because as me as a full-time creative, I'm like, I want to see how hard someone's willing to go, but not at the same time like harm themselves from it, because I think that's a misconception. People feel like as an artist, we gotta be starving artists, or we gotta go so hard where we're not unhealthy anymore. You know what I mean?
You know what? I did that to myself. So.
For real?
I did that.
How long ago? Like, did you just transition through a period of realizing I'm harming myself more than for this? Or?
It wasn't necessarily that music was harming me. It was other influences that were harming me. Substance abuse, stuff like that. And it's so for a long time, like I didn't mind. Like even right now, I still do it. I'll spend, like, if I got $600, I'll spend $400 on a video. Like, you know what I mean? And I won't eat for 2 weeks. Like, in that sense, like I did that for a long time. Also, what also contributed was substance abuse and spending money on that, and just not having my head right and not being in the right space. So like I was just stretched myself out too far, and I literally had to hit rock bottom to come back and be like, hey, listen, what do I really want? And what do I need to take away to achieve what I want? Because I had to make serious sacrifices, and I'm still making them. I'm not perfect. I'm still going through those struggles every day. But at the end of the day, like I feel like I'm in such a more focused and better headspace now that I realize that like there's absolutely no way I was gonna I was just plateauing. There's no way I was gonna get any further doing the same shit I was doing.
Right, that's the definition of insanity.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, exactly. You know what I mean? Like
doing the same thing and expecting
trying
different
shit
result.
won't work. Trying shit won't work. Like, you know what I mean? So at the end of the day, but yeah.
I remember hearing, I think you posted a video on social media where you were at a high school assembly, and you had mentioned that you were homeless, right? And I was like,
at a point in time in my life, for about 3 years, from when I was like or late 16 to 19, like
rough period.
Like not couch hopping, like on the streets, like for real.
Streets,
like,
right? Shelters,
like
and such. Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Sometimes like sleeping in parking garage and stuff like that.
I can relate to that because I was homeless for 2 years.
Yeah.
Didn't graduate high school when everybody expected me to, and
exactly,
left home, and I was homeless for 2 years. And when I saw that, I'm like, okay, you know, I was relating to your story and how important it is for people to share their stories, right?
Exactly.
And then that rise above that too, which is phenomenal.
That's where a lot of the content of my music comes from. It's like I like to call it struggle rap. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
so you're not just bragging. You're talking about
no, I don't like, you know what I mean? Like I don't got money, so I don't talk about it in that sense.
Right.
Like, you know what I mean? Like I never had problems grabbing a female or two, like, you know what I mean? So, like, I talk about that, like, you know what I mean?
Just for the record,
like, you know what I mean?
Grabbing
like,
a female, you mean just by, like...
No, like, obtaining a female.
All right, just to clear up, because for those of you who might not understand urban language and how we speak...
No Donald Trump.
Doesn't mean
like,
unconsensual, it just means,
obtain, like, you know what I mean? So, even though, like, I tend to talk about things that, like, literally go on in my life, like, in real time, like, you know what I mean? So a lot of music, a lot of content that I wrote for about a year was about an ex-girlfriend and stuff like that, because she really got me screwed up in the head for a while, right? So that was the only way that I could release those thoughts that were going on in my head, like, you know what I mean? Going through homelessness, that was a huge part of my content as well. And even living on my own and just like not having the resources, the money, the finance that I need, that in itself is a struggle. And then again with substance abuse, that in itself is a struggle. And then this is hip hop, this is rap, right? So then there is like the element of like bragging and boasting and stuff like that. But I keep that that also as well has its ceiling. Like I don't be I'm not talking about like
cars and
you know what I mean, like blowing money in a club or something like that. Like you know what I mean? Again, there's a time and place for everything. Like if you can make satire music, you can make certain music, but like I find it also should be clear that that's what that is.
That's what
like,
it is.
You know what I mean? So
that's what you're communicating.
Like, exactly. So there's a line that you have to tread and that you have to respect. I find. I don't think it's right to lead people on.
Right.
To
the Bow Wow effect.
Yeah, exactly. Or even people who are fake positive on the internet. Like I don't like that as well. Like you know what I mean? Like I don't like when people, like, especially if you genuinely know somebody and stuff like that build their brand off of like being a social justice warrior. Like I don't feel like, and you see that on the internet every day. Or like people also as well, the new thing in music as well is to say you're sad and depressed and
co-opting those things.
Exactly.
And it's not because you're actually living those things,
exactly.
right?
You know what I mean? And I find that in its sense is just appropriation. It's culture vulturing. Like, you know what I mean? Because there's people out there that are really dealing with that. And then when they listen to you put out that music, they're looking to you as like some sort of like, oh my God, like you went through it too and look at where you are, But like, really, like, you know what I mean? And at the end of the day, everybody has their own struggles. Like, we can't sit there and say, oh, you never went through this, like, because we don't know people's lives. Like, you know what I mean? So, but I think, again, there's a line that, like, you have to, like, tread and that you have to respect. And just, like, and just, like, remember that, like, if you're making certain types of music, like, you know what I mean? There's people that this means a lot to. Like, you know what I mean? Like, because they're going through the same. I don't feel comfortable when I write music saying that my cousin, like, had sex with my girl. Like, you know what I mean? But I know that I'm not the only dude that's been through that.
Yeah, that has
you know what I mean?
That.
So I put it down anyways, and I put it on wax anyways. Like, you know what I mean? So at the end of the day, like, that's where that comes from. But I'm not going to say that if, like, I don't even have a cousin. Like, you know what I mean? So that's where I mean, like,
I think it waters down or cheapens the art of storytelling and expression.
Exactly.
While storytelling can be fantastic and you can exaggerate it, in terms of certain art forms, we respect it more when the storytelling is real, right? We
just
understand.
Live your truth.
Yeah,
right?
Live your truth.
Just live your truth, and that's it. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I've never, like, I'll Eminem myself before anybody can body me. Like, at the end of the day, like, you know what I mean? Like, I'll live my truth. Like, you know what I mean? So a lot of times too, I'm not perfect. You know what I mean? But like of course not. But a lot of times, like, when I realize I'm wrong, like, you know what I mean, I do try and make that step and be like, okay,
to correct it.
Yeah. If it can't be corrected, to like, you know what I mean, make amends and be like, and acknowledge, okay, this is what I did or said wrong, like, you know what I mean, because I've said some things on records where people didn't feel like comfortable and stuff like that, and I understood why, like, you know what I mean. So it showed me that I need to be more conscious in my writing. I can't just be putting anything down that, especially in 2019, the age of sensitivity.
Sensitivity and everything gets remembered with internet. Like, everything is recorded.
Yeah. You can't hide.
Like if you put something on Twitter, you know, we heard 10 years later someone brings it up, right? So you gotta be careful, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk a little bit about your catalog of music. You had 2 bodies of work that you've put out so far, right? The first one I wasn't acquainted with is the Most Unlikely to Succeed. Tell us about that. Yeah, what year did that drop? How many records were on that piece?
That was 2014. Like when I first started the 613 movement. When I first came out as Dope Kid, and yeah, that's the name. The name is self-explanatory. Like the most unlikely to succeed. I've always been the underdog. I've always been the black sheep. I've always been like the odd man out. Like, you know what I mean? And that's cool. Like, you know what I mean? I get love. You know what I mean? Especially now more with the music. But even in high school, always been the odd man out, always been the black sheep, always been the most unlikely to succeed. So
what high school did you go to, if you don't mind me asking?
St. Peter High School.
St. Peter.
I went to a bunch of high schools, to be honest.
You bounced around.
But my first one that I went to was St. Pete's.
Yeah.
Then I went to Norman Johnson.
Norman Johnson.
Then I went to St. Nick's.
Then
I went to. Then I graduated from adult high school.
You got your high school diploma.
Yeah. Finally, man, we did it. We did it. We made it.
To the ones, because I went to St. Nick's and got my high school diploma as well too after I came back to school, man.
Well, those adult programs, like if you're there to do it, like if you're there to succeed, like they will make sure you succeed.
That's right. So we're back to the most unlikely to succeed. You put that project out, creating a little buzz for yourself, right?
Yeah, that actually like really helped Canada, because like I was like dropping like rap videos, like just like videos of me rapping on video and stuff like that. And I remember too, like some dude, like this was in like late 2013. Some dude posted something, and he's like, "Man, what's with all these bedroom rappers?" And I knew he was talking about me, right? But that set a fire under my ass so big, it's crazy. Like that was the first time in my life, like I said I was gonna do something, and I completed it step by step. And to other people that may sound weird, but to me that I was proud of myself for that, because it was not just something that I needed to do. It was something that I wanted to do and something I loved to do, which was music. It wasn't like a necessity, like, oh, I have to do this. I need to get this money to pay my rent, and it's in 2 weeks, or I need to find a place, or I'm gonna be homeless. It was like, no, I'm not a bedroom rapper. All this music, like, look at all this music I have. Oh wait, nobody's gonna hear this shit if I don't put it on wax. If I don't literally make this a physical product, right? So I took it upon myself. I got a job at the dollar store right across the street, saved up $1,500, and then I just like went to LJ's. Shout out LJ.
Did you make hard copies of this?
Not this one, no.
Okay. Not
this one. I wasn't thinking that way at that time. I was just like literally like just getting into it, right? So yeah.
Shout out to LJ though, right?
Yeah, shout out to LJ Jagai, like he's the GOAT, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, so I saved up $1,500. I can't remember if I saved up $1,500 or if I paid my studio time. But regardless, the mixtape was $1,500. LJ hosted it. He mixed and mastered it, and yeah, the quality was there, and people really noticed that, like, okay, like this, he's
not a bedroom
like
rapper.
I was established in the city after that, like, you know what I mean. The shows started coming, everything like that.
Word. Your second project you put out, Everything is Different Now. I noticed that the promotion for that, perhaps because I was paying attention more, perhaps your promo game stepped up, right?
Yeah.
was a solid project.
Yeah.
I mean, in terms of just the sound, the quality, working with the producer in the city that people are familiar with, Knock Knock.
Shout out my boy, that's my guy.
His
Shout
sound
out
is
Legal
strong.
Aliens.
Right, Legal Aliens. Shout out Legal Aliens. We got some Legal Alien gear right here.
Go cop that right now. You know.
Yeah, Legal Alien. You can check them out on Facebook. But with that project, everything is different now. I thought this was Malcolm really saying, you know, if you think you can keep ignoring me, you know, think again, right?
Yeah,
you can't keep ignoring me, right? I'm gonna make it so you can't ignore me. So how was the reception to that? How do you think your fans?
It was great, man. It was great. People still like send me screenshots to this day of them like bumping the lead single and shit like that.
What was the lead single? Everything is different.
Everything
now, right?
is
That's
different
right,
now,
of course.
like, you know what I mean?
There was a video with that too as
well.
well.
No, we didn't get to do a video for that.
Oh, okay.
Unfortunately, there was plans to do one.
Yeah.
But just some details and some little nuances fell through.
Right.
So but we do want to do one for that still because it's a great song and it's not that far removed from you know what I mean. It is something that I want to do. If not, then I want to be able to build on it and like I did with the Bag Part 1, 2, and 3. I want to everything is different now. Part 1, 2, and 3. Like I like doing like series like that. Not necessarily like series like where they're
thematically
and they're cohesive, but I mean like they're sonically cohesive.
Sonically,
like,
word.
You know what I mean? So I definitely like we can do another one for sure and make that one even bigger and better. That's no problem.
Right.
Like, you know what I mean?
I wonder about when you dropped Everything Is Different Now. Did you get more invites to perform? Were you like, you know?
At the time,
because we're 1 year anniversary now, right?
So
like March 1st?
At the time, no. So unfortunately, after the Everything Is Different Now release, March 1st, we had that album release and everything like that. That was coincidentally like the beginning of like my rough patch, another one of my rough patches, like which is why I took the break for 6 months. So the post release of Everything Is Different Now would have been 10 times stronger.
I see.
If my head was in the right space, like, you know what I mean? Right. I had people behind me, like, you know what I mean? I had people there, but like I just wasn't like I wasn't focused, like, you know what I mean? And that's on me. Like, you know what I mean? And that's on me. So the post release of Everything Is Different Now would have been so much stronger if I was there for it.
Right.
Like, you know what I mean? And so that was a lesson learned. Like, you know what I mean? Because,
life happens, right?
Exactly, right? So that's again like why I decided to like just take the break for 6 months, go through what I'm going through, like, you know what I mean, and then figure it out when I figure it out, and like now we're here, right? So
well, that's how my father always told me that's how storms are. You know, when a storm comes, you can't run from it. Really, you can't hide from it. You have to be able to go through it, and in the center of the storm is where you learn the biggest lessons, right?
Exactly.
So and then now you got a new project coming out. I see you promoting this new record called Immortal, right? This new track that you're trying to bump. It's going to be part of Black Sheep, a project called Black Sheep.
Yes.
So tell us a little bit about that project and what we can expect.
Black Sheep or Immortal?
Tell us about Immortal, actually, because I want to place a little bit of it.
Okay.
So tell us about Immortal.
All right, so Immortal is something that we've been working on for about 2 months now. Shout out my boy, shout out my homie Knock Knock, Legal Aliens. He engineered it. Crazy record. Process of that name. Sometimes I find the names are self-explanatory. I guess not in the sense that I guess my mind is my own. But Immortal just alludes to the fact that like I'm still here. If you forgot about me, I'm still here. Right? You know what I mean? Same message, right?
Right.
So when I went into that record, like I did the same thing, followed the same formula that has always worked for me. Mix the medicine with the food, like you know what I mean. So I gave like I screwed up the verse and I gave a banging hook, like you know what I mean. So and what we have for the video production coming up for that is going to be absolutely insane. We have a lot of familiar faces that are going to be in there. A lot of local talent that is been working very hard for the past few months, for the past few years. To mention a few, we have Goliath Paw going to be on there. He's going to be playing a role. To mention too as well, this video is going to be actually storyboarded and cinematic. It's going to be conceptual.
Okay,
so
good.
It's not going to be a location performance shot location.
Right.
It's
spliced together.
Exactly. Like we have the whole video treatment pretty much written out. We have people playing roles. We have a space rented. Stuff like that. So again, to mention some names, we have Goliath Paw, Sudden Movement going to be a part of it as well. Of course, Knock Knock, he's going to be directing it and editing it as well.
Right.
We have Kirsten Biggs, a great photographer known across the city as well. And that's just off the top of my head. That's all I can think of right now. But yeah. So when the
full
video,
project.
when the full project does come, you guys are gonna see a lot of familiar faces, and that's gonna like really help push the project itself. Because I think like at the end of the day, like it's not like I'm separating myself from the city. That's not what I'm doing at all. That's not what I'm doing.
You still live and breathe Ottawa, right?
Exactly. Exactly. I'm breathing the same air as you, my guy.
Right.
Like, you know what I mean? But at the same time, like it's time to make certain changes and certain important changes.
Power moves, man.
Exactly.
Let's do it. Let's do it. It's 2019. We're looking forward to hearing looking out for that project, that Immortal and the Black Sheep project. Can I play two of your tracks, some snippets of your tracks, and we can just head nod and let the people get a taste of what that is?
Let's do it.
While I'm setting this up, tell the people where they can find you and find your work. To let them know where they can find you and find your work.
Right now, we actually just switched up a lot of the social media. So I'm actually going to be more prevalent on my Instagram, and we switched that up. It's no longer DopeKid613 if you guys have been following me. It's MXL.CLM, so just Malcolm. And then you can still find my YouTube, my latest projects at YouTube. Just search MXLCLM. Everything will come up. Like I said, we've had a few smaller projects in the past few months. 1943 Flows remix by Meek Mill.
That's right.
I did a couple animation visuals as well.
I have to say you're one of the most consistent. I don't even want to separate you from like young versus old school. You're actually one of the most consistent rap artists in terms of putting out content.
Even though I took that 6 months, it's almost like it's almost like, you know, like I guess 6 months in social media world is like 6 days, right?
It's true, yeah.
So it's like really a lot of people. To me, it sucked, bro. It sucked taking that hiatus and just like seeing all my peers like progress.
Right.
You know what I mean? But I guess in other eyes it seems like I'm consistent, and I'm happy it seems that way. You know what I mean? So.
Let's rock with this Immortal here. Let's see what we got here. Get this. We'll get the setup. Cool. So this is Immortal. You're going to be hearing a little bit of this and much more coming from Malcolm.
That's I'm Busy. Or I Don't Want to Die.
Oh, this is I Don't Want to Die?
That's I Don't Want to Die.
This one is actually called I Don't Want to Die. We'll play this one first.
I don't wanna die, I don't wanna end my life. But a nigga going through strife, that's why I get high. I don't let the days pass by. I've been trying to need my God, I just really won't spend. I don't wanna spend no pity. Everybody know we get lit, this squad stay busy. All bitch saying that she missing. I ain't even lying, I'm busy. I don't wanna end my life. But a nigga going through strife,
that's a struggle rap, man.
I don't let the days pass by. I've been trying to need my God, I just really won't spend. I don't wanna spend no pity.
So wow, that's serious. Melody, you talk about melodies and how you're working with the melodies. That one
really
is on
trying
point.
to incorporate that.
That one's on point.
I'm not no Drake, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
but,
with the
I'm not no YNW Melody, like, you know what I mean? But at the end of the day, like, I have my own voice, and I try to incorporate that into what it can be, like, you know what I mean? I try my best not to not to change my vocals too much in
right to alter it too much.
I want to be able to perform these songs, and I want to be able to have people recognize them as my voice. You know what I mean?
Right. So that exactly. That's Malcolm on stage and off stage.
Exactly.
And you do have a unique voice, which is something I point out. Not everybody gets that blessing of having a real radio friendly. Your voice is very unique. Every time I listen to your music, I'm like, you know what? It's memorable, right? The sound. So let's play a little bit of Immortal now, and then.
And yo, shout out everybody involved with this, man. This is crazy.
So you are on Hotbox Podcast. We got Malcolm on the podcast, the first one with a segment that I'm hosting. Check him out on all social media platforms. Follow him. Let's go.
I've been running like an alley, twist the canvas like a trammy. I gotta answer my chest, I'm gonna settle for less. If they didn't know, they know. It's a tic-tac-toe. I know I've been there before. I've been trying to settle lows. I know I'm blessed with a gift. You gave me with a price. You gonna hear what you like. You gotta give it your light. I know I've been there before. You want a part of my soul.
All right. You are definitely blessed with a gift. The city is blessed to have you here, Malcolm. Thank you for being on our podcast. So, anything else you want to say to the fans, the crew, the city? Let them know.
All I want to say is, Ottawa, I'm back.
Yeah.
Watch out for that. Let's get it.
Let's
Malcolm,
get it. All right.
Dope Kid 613 is dead.
Cool. Can you tell? Word up. Can you tell them what podcast you're on?
We on the Hot Box. You're tuning in with Jamaal and Malcolm. Let's get it.
All right.
Welcome to the Hot Box, a soapbox for hot topics.